There we go, Mr. Pencil. I gave her a sad backstory. Do you like her now?
No.
Thank you to our $5 patrons, Redbull4765, and Gemlord, and Sean. Another thank you to our $3 members, O'Connor Plays, and Redbull4765. And a very big thank you to our $10 patrons, Robbie Uchiha, and Idemokami. And a very big thank you to our $25 member, Alex Ice Rose. Before we open this breakdown / review of chapter 392 of My Hero Academia, please don't forget to leave your own list on the chapter in the comments section down below. Leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. Also hit that little notification bell to miss out on any videos that come to the channel. Also, I do have a Patreon down below, for as low as $1 a month to get some exclusive videos, early content, and more. Also, now become a member of the channel for as low as $3 a month to get the same perks and more. Now, let's hop into the review. What's up, guys? I'm Pencil, and here we are to do a review of chapter 392 of My Hero Academia, which is known as Villain Name. And I don't know. Maybe I'm just cold-hearted. Maybe I'm just not a good person. Like the level with y'all, absolutely. Keeping it a stack of a stack, round a stack, with a stack with y'all. I may just not like this character. I may just be biased. I may just 100% be biased. And that just may be it. Because this chapter has a very specific goal in mind. But unfortunately, the goal of said chapter is so fundamentally opposed to what I personally believe in, and what I think most logical people would believe in, that I just can't rock with it, Hori. I just can't rock with it. But let's stop talking in vagueness. Let's hop right into the chapter itself. So open up, and we do get to see that Toga is still just a teeny tiny bit nettled that people are trying to understand her. Like, how dare people try to actually communicate with her like she's a genuine actual human being and stuff like that. You know, the thing she's wanted all her life. How dare people try and do that with her? Because, you know, they didn't before, so why try now? And, you know, to be fair, I can kind of understand that on a character front. If you've been rejected your entire life and suddenly someone tries to accept you, you're gonna probably be a little bit caught off guard. I know I was. At least in certain scenarios where, like, I would constantly fail. When I suddenly succeeded, I definitely did, like, look for the camera. Like, genuinely be like, wait a minute. Things are going a bit too smooth. All right. Where's the laughing cam? All right, where are you? I see. Are you behind the curtain? Let me see. So I can kind of understand where Toga's coming from here, but at the same time, she is definitely about to put a knife in the back of Asui's head. So, like, I can't entirely lean with a rock with it. You know what I'm saying? Like, but maybe that's just me. Maybe I just don't get it. I probably just don't get it. Toga fans are probably eating with this chapter, but I just fundamentally don't understand it. But with the fact that Asui is currently done up, all the wounds she got back on Okoto Island, yeah, they're pretty much locking her down. Combo that with literally, what, tens, if not hundreds of twices binding her up in the stuff. Yeah, Asui, for all intents and purposes, is pretty much done here. There's, like, nothing that she could realistically do. I'm not saying, but, like, we see why Twice had to go, right? Like Twice fans, level with me real quick. We see why Twice had to get up out of here. Because, like, this is just a bunch of Twices. Imagine a bunch of Dabis. Imagine a bunch of Shigarakis. A bunch of All for Ones. Imagine a bunch of all of them. And can you imagine if Twice was actually still an actual part of the narrative and it wasn't just Toga's knockoff Twice? Like, I'm telling you, dog, it would actually be down diabolical. Like, it would literally be impossible for the heroes to win. Because they're already kind of getting mollywopped here. Like, you really, realistically, I know this sounds bad, they should have just dropped Dabi here. Like, I'm glad Dabi is saved, you know, all that. I'm down with that. You know, as much as I'm very much indifferent to the Todoroki plotline as of recent, I'll talk about those chapters in a bit. But, like, you know, I'm down with it. They should have just dropped him here. Let him wipe out all the Toga Twices. However, with that being the case, we do get to see that Toga does finally decide to give us her sad backstory. And I quote, "You never had to deal with even a single inconvenience. The rules were made for people like you. You were born into such an easy life." And to be fair, she is correct. The world was in fact structured for people like Uraraka. And heck, even Asui to a certain degree, and most people who, for all intents and purposes, fall under the normal category. Because we see within Toga's past that her own family was pretty freaked out by her. Like, notably, they stumble across her drinking a sparrow of its life juice. And notably, Toga does claim that she found it on the ground in the backyard, but I do think the sparrow was alive. because she doesn't refute that she ended its life. It probably just had a broken leg or a broken wing or something like that, and instead of trying to help it, she drank it. Not exactly defensible here. However, we do get to see that due to this incident, her parents sent her, seemingly enough, to therapy. And that therapy was specifically to make sure that Toga would end up as like a functional member of society. I'm not entirely sure about this, do not quote me, but I'm pretty sure the harming of animals is like a thing you do want to look out for in your kid. If your kid is like trying to burn ants or like catch animals and do weird experiments on, that's typically a thing you do want to get checked out. Because it's weird to say, like, it is not normal. And to be fair, this is the biggest thing I'm scared about when talking about this chapter. It's okay to not be normal. I am not a conventional human being. You don't be me, all right? Like, you don't talk about anime into a microphone for an hour straight and decide, yes, this is what I'm going to do with my day. You don't usually do that. I'm not a conventional person, but usually if you're, like, harming other living things for no other reason than you want to, not exactly the best. And we see that all of Toga's life essentially had her feeling like she stood out. A lot of people found her face scary, most likely due to the slitted eyes and the fangs she has. She sees a bunch of other people experiencing love, connections, whether it be a couple holding hands and or an owner and its dog, just bonding and having a good time. But these aren't what's considered normal to her. You see that she bites her own finger, and she is, well, obsessed with the idea of consuming other people's life juice, for lack of a better term. And thusly, her conventional ideas of love or connection and affection are much different than the average world. And thusly, she stands out a lot. And we even get it revealed that she drank one of her friend's life juice straight out the body. And according to the translator, when Toga argues, that's wrong, they were hurt, so I kissed it better. You know, she literally did just suck out their blood. And once again, I know this is definitely supposed to make me feel bad for the character. I don't. I'm sorry. And like, notably, I get it. She was just born this way. This was not something that she could inherently control. It's like she just woke up one day and was like, yes, life juice, tasty. Like, she was not a Metal Gear Solid character going, tasty. Actually, no. Is that Metal Gear Solid? Whatever reference that is. But with that being the case, we see that her parents are asking her, like, yo, what's going on? Like, don't you just want to be normal? Like, why are you doing this? Essentially, they're just asking the child, why is she like this? And once again, I do think this is the wrong thing to do in regards to a child, because children are very impressionable. Like, trust me, things you do around children will definitely have massive ramifications on their lives later. What could be just a fleeting memory for you could be the core memory for a child. So obviously their parents freaking out, or her parents freaking out, or the fact that she not bit, presumably she didn't bite into the child, but she does have fangs, and to presumably suck out the life juice of another human being, she probably did end up biting them. And can you imagine getting that phone call? Yeah, your kid, they bit another kid. They bit and drank, like straight up another kid. Like, yeah, that's gonna concern you and that's gonna frighten you, but you can obviously see this did not have a good effect on Toga, because eventually she just felt isolated. Like, she literally asks, why doesn't anyone else kiss the way I do? Why doesn't anyone else express connection in the ways I do? And hey, notably, once again, this is something that in broad strokes I can understand. A lot of my communication of like affection or care or support is through physical contact. Like, I pat people on the back. I give them high fives. I give them hugs. I pat them on the head if they're like young enough. Like, if you're like 5 and below and you're up to my kneecap and or hip, I'm probably just going to pat you on the head. Like, legitimately, a lot of my connection, praise, approval, it comes through physical interaction. And I know a lot of people just don't like that. Like, some people just do not like being in physical contact with other people. So I understand that. And I respect that boundary. The issue with Toga, though, is that she doesn't respect the boundary, and thusly she goes forward just following her instincts, and this naturally isolates her. And we see that this woman from forever ago, I forget this person's name, this was the person that when Toga first got her quirk awakening, she executed using her Araka's quirk. And we see that, presumably this is all in Toga's head, this woman just straight up tells her, You swept your feelings under the rug. You put on a mask and suppressed yourself in an attempt to become someone else. And that seems pretty true. Notably, what is her quirk? It's transform. By what? Consuming the life juice of other people. Literally putting on a new face in order to hide the face you have. And once again, that is simply a biological part of Toga. That's how she operates. It's kind of like, how does that story go? The scorpion and the frog, right? Like, the whole idea of the scorpion going up to the frog and being like, hey, I need to ride across the river, bro. So, like, help me out. And the frog is like, dude, you're a scorpion. It is literally in your nature to physically impair me. Why in the world would I let you on my back? And the scorpion looks dead in the frog's face and is like, oh, nah, bro, I won't do that. We would both end up perishing. Like, why would I do that? I would drown, you would drown. No one would be happy. And the frog believes it. And when the frog tries to take the scorpion across the river, the scorpion stabs them. And the frog's like, bruh, didn't we have a whole conversation about this? Why did you stab me? And the scorpion's like, dude, I'm Scorpion. It's in my nature. So that's the thing with Toga. It's in her nature to be like this. It's not her fault. It's weird to say. It's not her fault. And if she had stayed to limited expression or had figured out a way to cope with it, like, then that'd be one thing. But Toga's leap after being rejected by society and her family was mass slaughter. And now she believes that everyone must perish for not wanting to be like her. And I don't know. I just don't rock with that. Like, I feel bad saying it, but I just cannot vibe with that. That sort of methodology, that ideology, that, oh, you don't like the way I do things? All right, perish. Huh? Like, I get it. The isolation, well, no, I don't. Like Toga says, I do not understand. I didn't want to drink people. Like, I unfortunately, my name is not Perfect Cell, so I do not want to drink people. That's not my thing. But with that being the case, I understand why Toga feels isolated. I understand why she feels like she needs to lash out like this. I get it all. But in my opinion, it's too extreme of a reaction. And we even see that Jiro almost gets herself got by a Toga clone that transformed into Asui by drinking Asui's blood. And then also a Jiro clone appears that also drank Jiro's blood because their blood is all over the battlefield. And the clones are essentially just all over the ground to get the good life juice out. And we see that there's pretty much nothing that they can do in this moment because they're too many. They keep splitting. And I'm assuming that even if Toga were to magically run out of Twice's transform ability or his cloning ability, it wouldn't matter. The clones are already produced. It's highly likely that if anything, they're running on their own timers. But at the rate that those timers run out, they're probably just going to keep cloning, and thus the timer is pretty much never an issue. And thusly, the only way to stop Toga here is what Asui points out. Asui's like, hey, let me level with you real quick. I got you. This is a pretty rough situation. Obviously, the heroes want you gone. But let me level with you real quick. Uraraka, she not like that. She ain't about that life. Essentially, she wants to do something much harder than arresting you or executing you. And I know, she's a bit late. It's probably the first time in your life that anyone's been like this. But we need you to talk. We need you to consider. Please just listen to what she has to say. And we see that Uraraka does manage to grab, seemingly enough, the original Toga twice. And we see that Toga, after years upon years of isolation, is a bit too lost in the sauce. And we see that Uraraka even just begins to pour out the life juice because the Toga that she got stabbed her straight in the stomach. And thusly, we see that now Toga doesn't want it. It's too late. She does not want any sympathy. She does not want any conversation because not even once she was considered before. So now it's too late to try and change your standards to try and help her. And then the chapter ends with Twice lighting one up and asking Toga about her villain name. And the chapter ends with memories from the past, and we are on break next week. So that's the chapter. I still don't feel bad for Toga. I know this is rough stuff, but at least in my opinion, there's nothing that society could have done for Toga. If she was just going to be that way and she could not adapt to the world around her, there was nothing that society could do. Unless they just gave her, unless she made a group of friends with, let's say they were like vampiric heteromorphs or heteromorphs that dealt with an excess of life juice or something like that. Unless that sort of support group was set up, I don't think society could have done anything for Toga because it's clearly in her nature to want to drain the life from other people, to become other people. This is simply part of her. And it is rough that she was born that way. And is it sad that I'm saying that there's just no solution to something like that? But yes, and yes, but I don't think there's anything we can do other than stop someone like Toga. Unfortunately, in this situation, I 100% disagree with Araraka. I don't think this is the time for conversation, even though I somewhat agree that this could be a time for conversation. But does Toga even have control over all the Twice clones? Say she convinces one. What about the hundreds of thousands of them that are now roaming around? Unless there's some sort of universal main nexus point, unless Toga can be convinced to literally off herself, then there's no way to stop the Twice clones. The only thing you can do now is to execute her. Once again, I feel the same way about Toga that I did about Dabi and Shigaraki. The world already failed them. They are beyond saving. And thusly, the only way to help them is to end them. And then make sure that the world is a better place for the next Toga, the next Twice, the next Dabi, the next Shigaraki. Because the ones here are too deadly, too dangerous, too far gone to be reasoned with and helped. They are all insane, deadly monsters that threaten the livelihood of countless people. So I'm sorry, Hori. I ain't buying it. No matter how sad it is that people won't let her suck the life out of them, I'm not going to suddenly start caring. However, that's what I think. Please what you guys think in the comment section down below. Do you think I'm being too mean? Do you think I'm being too harsh? Do you think I should give Toga a little bit more benefit of the doubt? Do you think that I'm right? Do you think that I probably am having some sort of a point here? Please let me know all that and more in the comment section down below. Thank you so much for watching. Remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe. You still don't know in case to miss out on any videos that come on the channel. Also, I do have a Patreon down below. You can as low as $1 down month. Exclusive videos, early content, and more. Also, now become a member of the channel for as low as $3 a month to get the same perks and more. Now, thank you so much for watching once again, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. This is Agony the Pencil, writing off.